Hey everyone, welcome to Annie and her daughter's wild adventure. Today we'll take you flying over Montana to witness their exciting tale. Annie tried 100 different ways to connect with that author, Tom, who's chilling all the way out in Montana with his own little ranch. At night, Annie dashed into her daughter's room and found Grace sulking even more. After seeing the Pilgrim, Grace finally made up her mind. She agreed with the trainer's suggestion to help the Pilgrim escape from misery, thinking deep down that the Pilgrim was like her long-lost twin. Hearing this, Annie was heartbroken. She couldn't bear to see her daughter so down in the dumps. So the next day, Annie had an amazing dream, hoping her daughter would do something spectacular. She just wanted her daughter to achieve something awesome, so the next day, Annie made a jaw-dropping decision. She decided to take Grace and the Pilgrim on a wild road trip to Montana, over 3,000 kilometers away, to seek out that mysterious ant boy. Although Robert wasn't on board, and his mind was made up, the couple ended up in a heated debate. Robert thought managing a daughter and their moody horse at the same time was a recipe for disaster. In the heat of the argument, Grace piped up, insisting she wouldn't go to Montana with her mom, but Annie was firm on her plan. She felt completely unable to explain to her husband. Annie only knew this was the right thing to do. So, the next morning, she rented a trailer. With Grace in tow, they embarked on the journey to far-off Montana. Staring out the window, Grace's mood was still at rock bottom. They didn't say a word the entire way. After the rain stopped, they passed a historical battlefield site. Annie eagerly hoped to take her daughter for it, but Grace was totally indifferent. When they reached the museum, they found the battlefield was closed, and Grace mockingly teased her mother. Subtitles. Annie had reached her breaking point, leading to a huge argument between the mother and daughter. What exactly do you mean? Do you realize you insist on deciding everything? Dad is off to work the real complicated stuff. Can you please stop with that poker face? You're really something else. Cold as ice. Do you still think him 5 years old? How long do we have to wait to leave? I have no idea. What else could this boy possibly do? Oh my, I truly have no clue. Just do what you do. You've been the top editor at a magazine for years. Anna's career as a top editor ruled the household. Even her husband had grown used to taking a backseat. At this time, heading to Montana with her daughter left Annie feeling confused and helpless, bearing a heavy mental burden. She found herself at the already closed battlefield, gripping the iron bars, trembling in frustration. Years of being a corporate efficiency machine turned Annie into the classic absentee mom, completely clueless on how to communicate with her daughter. She was totally at a loss on how to save her daughter and the Pilgrim until late at night, when Grace finally tracked her down. When Annie returned to the car, she was back to her old self, throwing a jacket on her daughter and continuing this unpredictable journey. They navigated winding roads and snow-covered valleys until they finally arrived at an open prairie absolutely deserted. The prairie stretched on endlessly like the meeting point of heaven and earth, with the dirt road winding like time itself. Following her instincts, Annie picked a route and, as night fell, settled into a roadside motel with her daughter. Next morning, guided by the motel owner's tip, she visited a remote ranch and was blown away by the breathtaking scenery. The winding dirt roads resemble Earth's veins, stretching into the distance, surrounded by vibrant green grass, with distant mountains shrouded in mist. Following the trail, she finally spotted the legendary ant guy, Tom, along with his brother and nephew fixing the fence. They looked a bit surprised to see a visitor. Tom never expected Annie to trek 3,000 kilometers, bringing her daughter and her host to Montana all by herself. She just wanted to show him the Pilgrim. If there was no hope, she'd simply pack up and leave with her daughter in the morning. Tom was a little skeptical of Annie's headstrong nature. Out of courtesy, Tom decided to take a look at the Pilgrim. As he entered the motel, he spotted Annie chatting away on the phone. After years of high-stress city life, Annie had developed a leg-shaking habit, but what caught Tom's attention was that the girl was missing a leg. Grace covered her joints with her hands, trying to hide the missing limb, and Tom, being kind, started chatting with her casually. Grace seemed a bit wary, her words sharp in the presence of this unfamiliar man, but Tom didn't take it to heart. Once Annie finished her call, Tom asked to see the Pilgrim. Annie turned to Grace, asking if she wanted to go, but Grace just sneered. After Tom left, Grace picked up her crutch. The motel owner suggested Tom look into liability insurance since there was a monster in the backyard. Tom opened the gate, and the Pilgrim in the darkness resembled a warhorse, proud and imposing. But as soon as Tom got close, the Pilgrim instantly became jittery, eyeing the stranger warily. Tom swung his lasso to drive the pilgrim back, but he was still restless, lashing out with his front hooves to shoo away the newcomer. Tom carefully shifted his position and used the lasso to guide the pilgrim away, squatting down to observe the injured horse. Grace and Annie watched Tom's every move, as he locked eyes with the pilgrim, his gaze clear and calm. Observing the scars on the pilgrim's face and the twitching muscles, Tom could imagine what Grace had gone through. He picked up a small stone from the ground and tossed it gently towards the weary pilgrim. Annie thought it was amazing no one had ever gotten this close to the horse before. Tom wasn't optimistic. He thought the pilgrim might never heal. But seeing Grace's disappointed face, he decided to give it a shot. Tom set a condition. Grace, the pilgrim's owner, had to be involved in the healing process. This was the first time someone interrupted Annie and her first step towards lifting her emotional burden.